All right, we're back at the Freedom Unschool, and today we're gonna go west.
You bet we are.
There's a new song out, or maybe an old song, "Go West." It's a great song.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Maybe you could put a little clip into the movie here for us.
Yeah.
All right, so
Or Gone West.
let's bring it home. This is the fourth position. We've talked all about the prosperity cycle. We had Thomas Jefferson at North. We had the Lewis and Clark expedition. We had the process of going out and knocking down the stumps and making it possible for westward expansion and the wagons to get across country.
Yep.
And now we're over here at West. West is also where choice happens. So we talk about the whole object of the game is choice.
Get to choice.
You need choices.
Decide.
What we all want, people, everyone in America wants freedom. We love freedom. And we've been kind of schooled to believe that you buy freedom by getting enough money so you can tell everybody to go fly a kite.
Pretty much.
That doesn't really give you freedom. It's an illusion, but no one who hasn't had it will generally believe it. But everyone who's gotten enough money to say go fly a kite quickly realizes ain't no freedom over here. So,
Well, why is that, do you think?
oh boy,
there's a number of reasons, but what's...
So, true freedom is complete control of your time. Now, it's one thing to say, boy, if I had a lot more money, I'd pay someone to clean my house and someone to mow my lawn, and I'd be able to go vacation where I want and do this and do it. And that's true. And it would give you more free time. Mm-hmm. But what the hell are you going to do with it? And so what people that end up getting a fair amount of financial security, I mean, forget the billions. I mean, just, some millions.
Right.
Right?
Some space.
Some space.
Some
and
surplus.
what happens is true control of your time is who, what, where, and when. So who do I spend my time? What am I doing with them? Where am I doing it? When am I doing it? Money cannot buy that. And you say, yeah, I can, Toby. I can decide if I want to be with someone or not. I can decide whether I'm at the beach or in the mountains. So, yeah, but that's not what I mean. I mean, when you think about the what part, what do you want to be doing? And one of the things that people that get to this, lottery-winning financial security level find out is you love to ski? Try skiing all the time. You like the beach? Try only being at the beach. It just doesn't work. It's been tried. You can Google it.
Yeah.
There are people, .comers who got a ton of money, thought they'd go try it. They are crying on the web telling you this does not work. Okay, so what we're trying to do is find our thing, right? The way that we can play the game. And one of the, and Gary Vee's always talking about this, self-awareness. He talked about it in that interview with Larry King. What's the number one thing? And he said, self-awareness. And Larry King said, how do you get it? And he said, I don't know.
Right.
We're going to show you how.
Yeah, well,
this
is
is the foundation. Until you understand your biological predisposition, that that your presupposition before it everywhere all the time, mm-hmm. you're really going to have a hard time navigating.
Yeah.
Gary can't tell you he's a North yet. I'm about to teach him, but he knows he's a North.
Exactly.
I've been listening to him for enough hours. That dude knows how he operates.
Yes.
He does. I mean, he is exceptionally aware of what he's good at and is what he says and what I suck at. And he says, I suck at a lot of things. And so do I.
Me too.
I suck at a lot of things.
No, being a North, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And being someone who's been a CEO for several decades and who's done a lot of things, people think, oh no, Toby knows how to do a lot of stuff. Yeah, I know how to do some stuff. But I'm telling you, I suck at a lot of things. In fact, I was writing my bio today for the site, and one of the questions we were playing with as a team is, what are your qualifications for your position? And I said, well, like all CEOs, the reason that I was chosen as a CEO is because I proved that I was incapable of doing any of the other jobs under the roof. So it's all about getting to choice, all right? And so we're talking about this foundational layer of self-awareness and understanding your biological survival concern. It's only everything. So Copilot, I want to run through the checklist.
Oh, right.
Take me through. So take me through here.
All right. So each position is a responsibility, not an excuse.
Amen. You've all taken personality profiles and all, Cosmo tests and all this other stuff to find out what a girlfriend or boyfriend you are, or at least all these silly things.
Yeah.
This ain't that. I've taken these personality things and we all giggle like, oh, that's so you and that's so me. And yeah, I'm just like that and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Maybe that, but with this, our job, all of us, is to increase the identity of others.
Right.
That's how we get identity. That's how you get choice. The way you get a line out the door, the reason Gary Vaynerchuk has so many more choices than all of his listeners is because he lifts the identity of other people all the frickin' time.
All the time. And he does not use his northiness as an excuse. He uses it as a contribution.
He has learned how to harness that dragon and ride on the back of that thing.
Right.
And I can show you a lot of Norths who don't.
Oh, yeah.
The exact opposite.
Yeah.
They are demanding certainty from everyone else in the world. They lower the identity and the mood of everyone they come in contact with, and they have no choices.
Right. Well, and this happens in East, South, and West as
Absolutely.
well.
This is the dynamic.
The biggest thing is do
Right.
not use it as an
Give.
excuse.
Get.
Right.
If you're focused
Right.
on getting, if you're
Thank
at this
you.
end of the spectrum, you're not going to have people that want to be around you. If you're way over here at the give side, you're going to have people around saying, paying attention.
That's the distinction.
Yes.
Made. Okay. All positions are 100% essential and equally valuable, but only at certain times.
It does. It's like a ballet. It's like a symphony orchestra.
Yeah.
You have these different sections, and it's not like the string instruments are better than the wind or the percussion or whatever the other kinds are. But it's when, right? When they come in and when they close. You watch the conductor. What they're doing is they can see the cycle and sequence of the piece that they're playing,
Right,
and
exactly.
who should come in and who should settle down, and so forth.
When it should be done.
This is exactly how you lead. This is how you get through life, is being able to move to the center like a conductor who doesn't have a dog in the fight. They're detached from the identity of those specific positions, and they're making beautiful music by coordinating the actions of a lot of people.
Right.
And
Around
the more
and
people you
around
can
and
coordinate
around.
and the faster you can coordinate them,
Yes.
the better it all goes.
Okay. Do not tell people what position you think they are.
This is, I don't know if people even necessarily like hearing what their personality deal is.
Yeah.
There was a test I used in one of my companies, and we did it with a ton of the team, and we trained each of the managers to deliver the profile to their team, but we did it in a very positive way. We sat down, Shelley, here's your profile, and here's where you're really strong. People ended up feeling really wonderful about themselves.
Yeah.
Biology can do that, because if you choose to see the superpower within your position, it's a source of tremendous pride, opportunity, and power, right?
Yes.
But it can also be biologically perturbing,
Yes.
because what people start to figure out consciously or unconsciously is, oh no, I'm on the hook for this.
Yes.
This is what you've busted me. Yes. I have been trying to wiggle around this. I've been trying to figure out how to get what I want without having to go dive into the reality.
Right.
And as you're going to see, and we go over this a lot, this literally is a survival conversation.
Right.
This resides hardwired in the lizard brain, and when that lizard thinks it's threatened, people don't act well.
No. And this is because your concerns become now your responsibility, not an excuse, which is what we were just talking about. And that's really hard to
Yes,
face.
and some people, remember I put over here, get and give. This is where victimhood lives.
Yep.
It's all, my circumstances, it's not fair, I didn't get a good enough deal,
Right.
and I've got this biological need for certainty or freedom or stability or security, and I've found all kinds of ways to dress up and try to, get what I want.
Right. Okay. Allow people to discover their position by inviting them to train with us.
So that's the antidote. If you
Yeah.
do have someone and you're like, oh God, I want to tell him, I want to tell her. It's like, invite them into the training, send them the link, So you, because
Well, and likely you're going to want to invite the opposite of you.
It might happen.
Because you're like, oh, they need to know this.
Probably.
Because, so I can tell them exactly why they're wrong.
You may have a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend and you're seeing how they are. Remember, every time you think, oh my God, they're so like that, remind yourself that so are you the other way.
Yes.
Yes. And so invite them in.
Yeah.
And boy, having a partner in crime in this process,
Priceless.
it's
Priceless.
every time I teach this to people, I implore them to get their husband or wife involved, to find a friend to train this with, because the speed at which you and I improved our ability to observe these positions, because we did it multiple times every day for close to a decade now,
Yeah.
that's how you get good at stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about it. If you're trying to decide, try to eliminate 2 first.
Right. So if you're still trying to find out your position, be patient. There's nothing wrong with you. Some people get
Oh,
it
it
right
takes
away.
time.
It's not because they're smarter. It just works that way. And some people, it takes a little while. Even Shell and I had a little bit of confusion at first, although we can tell you, looking back, we don't understand how we ever did.
Seriously.
Because
kind of like, what?
yeah,
But-
but it's new, so be patient. But one of the best ways to do it is usually you can positively eliminate 2 positions. So take that clutter out of your head. Just take 2 off the table. So now you're just comparing, trying to break a tie, if you will, between 2 positions.
Right. And be patient.
Yep.
Believe me when I say, when any of us is pushed into a corner, we have one
Right.
and only one biological.
So what that drives to is commonly we'll hear, well, I feel like I'm 2. I feel like I'm a blend of 2. And sometimes I think it's situational. No, no, and no. This is biologically hardwired. I can't definitively prove that yet, so I just invite you to learn this and go out into the world and see for yourself. However, before I leave this planet, I expect that we will prove that this is in the DNA or a blood test somewhere. It is biologically hardwired. I've never seen it fail. I'm 100% convinced that it's in there, baby.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to prove that, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things in biology and in science that fall into these patterns of 4. It's
Yes.
creepy
It is.
how many there are.
Starting with the seasons.
Not an accident.
No. Okay, keep an open mind about your own position to beware of your ego.
Right.
Don't pick the one you think sounds best pick the one that you actually do where you really come from.
Yes.
Search deep down into your heart and just be honest with yourself. You'll get so much further, so much faster. You'll be so much more wise if you choose this route of honesty.
They're all
Be truthful.
equally valuable.
Yes.
There is no bad position.
No.
There's only bad timing. Okay? So if you think of your favorite sport, you may have a position you think you'd like to play, but I would hope it fits your strengths of who you really are. But let me ask you this. If you could play that sport professionally at any position, would you be pretty psyched? This will enable you to play at the pro level.
Yes.
It may not be the position that for whatever reason you thought in your mind a successful person's supposed to look like, but Shelley and I can show you famous, amazing, legendary contributors to society in every one of these 4 areas.
That's the key word, contributor.
Contributor, absolutely.
Contributor.
Yep. Easy for you to say.
Always remember, the object of the game is to raise the identity of others.
That's the
Talked
whole
about
game.
this.
It is, but you can't say it too
Can't
many
say it enough.
times. Everyone's wondering, how do I get successful? I was just listening to a podcast and there was a call-in session and they were asking something about success. How do I do this and how do I do that? It's like, look, there's a lot of nuances, so I don't mean to oversimplify it, but you know, it ain't that complicated. Even if you're at the beginning of your career, you're in what you feel like is a dead-end job, contribute.
Right.
I don't care if you're flipping burgers or pouring coffee or frying fries or sweeping floors. Be the most positive, upbeat, encouraging, useful proactive, hard-working contributor on the team, I absolutely promise you, you will get to another step. And you're like, well, the next step doesn't look a lot better. You know what? It is better. And do the same thing there. And do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And listen to me when I talk to you about these positions, because when you build your career around them, forget about it. You have an unfair advantage against everybody else. Because I'm telling you, I can line you up against people that have Ivy League MBAs who don't have a flipping clue about this, and they're just not that useful.
Truth.
And you don't want to be them.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go west.
Let's go west. Okay.
Survival concern.
So we've said that we all have this need for identity. And so what our lizard brain essentially is concerned with is, if my ancestors got kicked out of the tribe, we got eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be eaten by the saber-toothed tiger.
No.
As you probably noticed, there aren't too many of those around in your neighborhood anymore. However, no one sent the lizard brain that memo.
Right.
Right? The lizard brain believes if other people disapprove of me, if I get rejected, if people, the door gets slammed on my face, the phone gets hung up on me, they cut me off in traffic, whatever it is, I get cut from tryouts, I don't get the job, I don't get a call back. The lizard brain thinks in all of those situations and many others, even in a dispute with a close friend or a family member, your husband or your wife, the lizard brain thinks, I'm being tribally rejected, I'm going to die.
Literally.
And it has a hissy fit.
Yeah.
And until we learn how to harness this beast, and some of you already have lesser or greater control of this.
Oh yeah.
That's why, or you wouldn't be here, I would suspect.
Right.
That's what the lizard brain's concerned about. Now, there's actually 4 sort of subsets, if you will, of that basic concern. So everyone across, which position has this overriding concern for tribal acceptance.
Yes.
But there's 4 kinds of concerns. And we talked about in the first, the North was concerned, if others know that I don't know, I'm going to die. East was, if I have to do what others say, I'm going to die. South was, if I'm not included, I'm going to die. And for West, it's if I have to decide, I'm going to die.
Which is a really interesting one. And once you meet a West and you are able to observe this, so explain that, because it's hard to what do you mean?
Well,
to decide.
As we showed with the other 3 positions, the strength is the weakness is the strength. Mm-hmm. Okay? The strength of West is they are phenomenally good at studying history, learning how things work, figuring out all of the details,
yes.
right? Yeah. Understanding all of the inner workings and so
Standard
forth.
operating procedure.
The whole deal.
Yes.
But the way they view the world is almost through the rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. What happened in the past, I can study it. And so, in a sense, in their mind, here's the present day. They go back and they map something to here. And you say to them, okay, thank you, that's really interesting. Mm-hmm. Tell me what happens in the future. Does it go up? Does it go down?
Well, based on my
And because their focus is always in the past from this standpoint, they just don't have, it's just not how they work. And you wouldn't want them to.
Right.
You wouldn't.
No.
Because that's not what they're awesome at. They're awesome at reviewing past performance, right? Understanding best practices.
Right.
And so forth. Looking at it and maybe seeing where the leaks are. Oh, this, based on this study, I can see that this parameter here it's inefficient. We need to work on that.
Right. Well, analyzing everything that's happened so they can go, what should we keep? What should we leave behind? What should we map out?
They're awesome at looking at processes.
Yes.
So they could look at a system, a process, could be any kind of a process, could be computer code, could be assembly line, could be a mechanical device, an electronic device, could be a human process.
Right.
Anything. And they can look at it, measure it, analyze it, observe it, and determine where the inefficiency is. Right. If we did that, we could save this much amount of time. If we did this, we could save some money. If we did that, there'd be fewer defects. I mean, they are freaking awesome at this.
Yes. And they like order. They like things in order. They like to organize.
100%.
Yeah. It
But-
always reminds me of Monica and Friends. She always liked she had everything in order.
Yes.
I mean, I've known a couple people like this, and I'm just like, oh man,
Well,
that's so awesome.
We have several dear coworkers that are just card-carrying, awesome, contributing Wests.
Yes.
And
thank
I don't
goodness
know
for
what
them.
we'd do without them.
Seriously.
Seriously. But they've done this training, and they understand their position, and they own it. And so we can all laugh when they can't decide. I mean, and literally, it is painfully hard
Yeah.
in many cases for them to decide.
It's kind of like the North having to say they're sorry. It's like,
Yeah, I'm
so.
right. Yeah. Anyone who has some close norths in your life, hopefully you're having a good laugh about that. All right. So my concern if I'm a West is that if my brain tells me I'm going to die, if I have to decide. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're having trouble deciding which of the 4 positions and you think you can be all 4, I'm not saying it's 100% certain that you're West, but based on my experience, is a high likelihood. Okay?
Yeah, it's kind of when we hear people say that, we're like,
Yeah. Okay. We love you. Don't worry, Wests. Okay, anxiety. So what happens for the survival strategy for a West? Hibernate. What I notice for Wests is when they're under a lot of stress, they're presented with some difficult, particularly decisions.
yes.
They go back to to their mind, to studying, to analyzing. They go back to their strength. We
Yeah.
all go to our inclination. We already said North's going to go try to dictate. East is just going to try to get the heck out of Dodge, right?
Right.
South is going to go back into their group and sort of talk with each other and gossip or tolerate it. And West is going to be like,
Well, they have to go think
It's a
and
bear.
read and analyze,
Yeah.
like, what should I do? This is action. This is thinking.
yeah,
This is...
yeah. And as we'll say many times, the antidote to anxiety is contribution. Management style, it's about authority. I just had, we were doing some permitting for something we're doing at the house, and we were dealing with a not positive West in our community, our town or city, whatever you want to call it. And, part of their process is, won't get into the details. It's not right. But her inclination was not to say as a neighbor, you're right, I'm sorry, this shouldn't be this way. It was to go back and cite chapter and verse. Yeah. She went to brute force authority. And if you don't do this, there'll be a late penalty, and then this and this and this.
Rules and regulations.
This is no big deal and it's resolved. But lawyers, there's a lot of West lawyers, not all, but there's a lot of West lawyers, and they escalate problems where more sane, personal minds could get together and negotiate. And, this is something to watch out for when you're purchasing legal services, because they start citing chapter and verse about law, and it just becomes this authority brute force debate. And that's not the point. It's not the legal Olympics. It's about trying to resolve a dispute, make a deal, create something, move forward. If you're stuck in that kind of a contest, nothing gets created.
Is there security in laws, rules, regulations?
It's
in some way. There's reference.
For many Wests, that's like their fuzzy blanket. It's like that's what they wrap themselves in. I know the law. I've got the law. Right. That's all I need.
It's written.
It's written.
Yeah.
And the police enforce it. So I don't have to persuade you. I don't have to do any of those things. I've got the law.
Exactly.
And
authority.
That authority. That's what authority is. You've all seen. Oh, classic example. What's the movie? Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't know which one, but the one where they had that pink lady who took over as the headmaster,
yes.
Miss something or whatever.
What's her name? Yeah.
But
you all know the pink lady.
The pink lady, the one that made all the law. Remember, she kept putting up the decrees, and the janitor had to keep nailing them up on the wall.
That is a classic.
And she was basically just absolutely, willing to use whatever of her authority she could. I mean, that was
Yes.
the only tool she had in the box. And
Yes.
it was like that saying they say, if all you have is a
great
hammer, all you
example.
use is a nail, or everything is a nail. That's how she was.
That's a great example.
Would rather. Management strategy under stress. Here's what I've observed Wests can do when they get in a very difficult interpersonal, political kind of a situation. They kind of just, they stay calm on the surface. Wests can be very cool cucumbers. And they kind of survey and kind of almost make an alliance with everybody. It's like they
Kinda
have a conversation
chameleons.
with you and you feel like, oh, he definitely agreed with me. And then they come and see me and I feel like, oh, they agree with me. And they do this with other people. What they're doing is they're waiting to see who's going to win, and then they're going to jump on that train. And so to the people who got left behind, the feeling they're going to probably have is betrayal.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Um,
And I've seen this in relationship-wise too.
So 100%. And so for West, the lesson there for you is, and again, there's goodness and nastiness on all four positions. For West, we're talking about that one. You know, the answer there is to have the integrity to pick who your team is and stand by them and be their security rather than trying to find out how to just get it for yourself.
Right.
Okay. Would rather. Wests are very concerned about having an impact. They want to impress upon you what they know,
Yes.
how
details.
vital they are to the ongoing operations of an organization.
Yep.
Some of the Wests that if you think about, municipal and government bureaucracy that has been around and starts to exist, they will insist that they can't even go back and reconsider whether this department even needs to exist anymore because they're too invested in sort of justifying its existence. Confused with accomplishment, reflection. As we mentioned, each one of our positions, we can kind of go into our safe, our happy place, right? And for West, it's reflection. Yeah. And they can feel like their analysis in and of itself is the contribution. And the fact of the matter is, none of these are the contribution. The contribution is the whole cycle.
I was just talking to Wes the other day, and he was like, oh man, can I go into analysis paralysis? Like, he's like, I am the king of it.
Yes, he is. He is. I did miss one, though. Breakdown judgment, low standards.
Yeah.
I can usually spot a West by how they critique something. Mm-hmm. There's a certain almost disdain for, are there any standards? Inefficiency,
yeah.
Low standards, that sort of thing. All right, let's talk about the happy stuff. So contribution. The West's tribal contribution is to securitize your tribe. So, we're talking about the three awesome Wests that are on our team, two of which are really involved. One's very much sort of the a financial administrative securitizer, and the other one's much more of a technological IT securitizer. And in both cases, they know their stuff inside and out.
Yeah.
They're supremely loyal and committed to the team, and they're looking out for the team. So they're not just waiting around to see what's asked of them. They're actively looking for threats. I mean, it's like they're guard dogs. They're up on the watchtower and they've got the binoculars and the searchlight and the radar.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
They're looking out for us
Yeah.
so that we can be safe inside the walls doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
They have our backs. And that could be, the bookkeeper, a tax person that's making sure you're in compliance with all of that sort of stuff.
Right.
Could be your IT person that's making sure your server's secure, that your data's backed up.
Well, and you're following all the rules, you're doing it right,
Yep.
it's just so important.
100%. Yeah.
Something I don't know about.
Leadership evaluation. Look, it's a big part of the cycle.
It's huge.
You come up with this idea and you prototype it, and then you go and you replicate it. Well, at some point, someone's, these people are all so busy with their thing, you need someone to kind of step back and who's not invested in these other things. Because these other positions can evaluate. but it's not what we want to do. And we'd rather be doing something else. And frankly, we should be doing something else. Right? And so here's this group that's already hardwired to sit back and say,
They're literally born to do it.
They are.
Yeah.
They can spot defects from a mile away. They can see a leak. They can see an inefficiency. And especially when they develop, real domain expertise.
Yes.
Right? But it's a natural inclination, period. We took a family through our unschooling program, and this was one of my favorite stories. And there was the daughter that was a West.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, Mom, everyone loads it. In fact, I saw a funny shower thought thing today.
To this day.
We do.
Yeah.
She said to her mom, because you're unloading the dishwasher and
Mom's
you got the spoons and the forks and the knives and they're all tangled and you're trying to pull them out. And she said, Mom, why don't we just decide that certain bins are for the spoons and for the forks and for the knives, and then when you go to empty the dishwasher, you just grab a fistful of knives, you drop them in the drawer. You grab a fistful of spoons, you just drop them in the drawer, right? It was a cute thing, but
and she was 7.
as a little girl,
Yeah.
she already was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's you're sitting there, Mom, and you're trying to sort all this out once or twice a day, every week, forever. It's just stupid.
She literally said to her mom, Mom, this is really the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And her mom's like,
7
"You're
years
right."
old. So more proof of why we believe this is so biologically hardwired.
Yes.
Okay. Energetic clues. So hopefully that helps you give a little bit of sense, and I hope that even though we were talking about some of the the not so wonderful sides of your position, that you're being honest with yourself, like, yeah, on my bad day, that's how I am. I can do it. I own up to it. There's plenty of garbage that goes along with my Eastness. I own it. I've done it. I try not to do it, but
at least now you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Which is only everything.
And I'm not going to try to skate away from it and tell you I don't do it. I know I do it. I'm working on it. In fact, you want to get really ninja at this? Invite your team to call you on it. You say, look, I'm so serious about doing this well that I want you to tell me when you think I'm trying to escape, I'm talking about an East, and I'm going into my biology. Now you got a team, right? I mean, you're playing a sport. Would you like someone to say, your backswing used to be like this, but I'm noticing you're doing this extra thing. You're like, geez, I didn't even notice that.
Well,
you look at the game film.
If you really want to be self-aware, you need help. You need other people to help you point stuff out, because we're often not even aware of what we're doing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just self-aware, if you want to have choices, right? So many people are on the web watching, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, reading books, going to conferences with an intention to be successful, to go have their own piece of the next American dream pie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be that celebrity, but I want kind of what they have, right? And what I observe they have is they're doing something that they love. They're doing it with people that they love. They're being appreciated for it. There's a line out the door. That's giving them opportunities to go do cool things, maybe have sponsors or who knows what.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
And if you want to play that game, then you have to be coachable. You have to decide, okay, you don't get there by accident.
Nope.
No. Okay. Energetic clues. So now we're kind of moving into how do we identify other people that are in this position, right? And so the first thing we've talked about is this section of assess versus project. So what happens is the North and the South have more of a sense of they're assessing, right? We said North is assessing whether or not you're competent. South is assessing whether or not you're sincere. Can I trust to let you into our club?
Right.
Okay. East and West, and notice how this kind of happens. East and West are trying to impress upon. They're not trying to assess.
Right.
Remember we talked about East is trying to convince you they're sincere. They're trying to, right? West is also trying to convince or project.
Right.
And what they're trying to project is their impact, their importance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
I know stuff.
So you're going to be listening for, let me tell you what I know, let me tell you things that I've done, that our firm has done.
Oh man, this funny story. We were at the ping pong palace, remember?
Yep.
And this West came over and he's like, he just couldn't help himself. He's like, you guys are actually playing ping pong, not table tennis, and this is a table tennis place, and this is how you should do it. And knowing what I know, I was like, great, thank you so much for helping
Awesome
us.
story. So I want to just elaborate that a little bit so people understand. So
Okay.
we found this place that's like almost like a tennis club, but for ping pong.
Well, table tennis.
Yeah, I know. Oops, see, I did it again. Tons of tables. It was actually amazing, right?
It was awesome.
So we decided
Love it.
for the winter, this is going to be our family thing. We bought a monthly membership, and we're going up there and we're playing. But, you know, we grew up with ping pong, as many of you probably did. And so we're doing this serve where you kind of whack it against the table and go down. But the
Yeah.
table tennis serve is very different. And we're happy. We're happy as clams. We could not care. We're not trying to go be table tennis champions. We just couldn't care less.
As long as I beat him, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I never do.
And this gentleman came over, like you said. He was reasonably nice about it.
He was.
But if you didn't have our sense of humor and understanding of the positions, I know a number of people who would have gotten red-faced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how dare you get out of my face?
Yeah.
Whatever else.
Because he was kind of like, no, that's not how
It was
you do it.
cute and humorous because we know what he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't even, yeah.
It was adorable.
So there you go. Okay. The next one, thought versus action. West definitely is going to go to thought, right?
yeah.
If you fire them with something quick, they're not going to be as quick on the draw. They're going to think. Unless it's something they have right here. And even then, they're running, you know, it's like your computer. You put in a thing or your Google thing, a search, and it's running out, checking all of the different websites, and then coming back with some search results, and it's ranking them.
I gotta go back.
Yeah. Speak from. We ought to have. I really want to highlight this because one of the things that's very interesting, very future-oriented, okay, North, visions, lots of ideas for the future. Mm-hmm. East is kind of more in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's now.
South is kind of like to-do list. Next 90 days, next 8 hours. It's like, what do we have to do?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, so what we should do. You should go west. Mm-hmm. Well, we could go west, but we could start south and then kind of kick back up and still get west.
Yeah.
Right? Which is what an east would do if you told it to go west. It would not go in a straight line.
No.
South is what do we have to do? Oh, you have to deliver something, you know, at this city in 100 miles west, and then another city at 100 miles west, and then pick something up there and then bring it to the next place. What do we have to do? West is going to be in the past. Yeah. What ought we have done? After reviewing the game film, after adding up the numbers, now that we know how it turned out, what would have been better?
Post game. That's such a perfect.
100%.
Yeah,
a lot of your post game analysts on TV, you know, for sports are West. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But a lot.
And some of the coaches that are so diligent about going to the games and reviewing everything that the other team did, what we did, those are some of the most amazing Wests.
Yep.
Game film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Film.
We have this focus. So again, it's kind of like we had North and South are kind of more focused on you. East and West are more concerned about how do you see me. I'm trying to make sure you feel happy. I'm trying to make sure you feel like I have an impact. Okay? And then finally, accused of. West will often get accused of impeding progress, pointing out what's wrong. They'll stop the action, kind of like a referee, to point out what's going on.
Yeah, this is the way it should be done.
Yeah, and
Hold on.
And you know what? There is a time to say, "Whoa, time out, folks. We are off the rails." The sign just said next gas station 150 miles. We've only got a quarter of a tank. We should turn around, go back and top it off. And I'd like a West to tell me that.
Well, and we just, like you said, we're going through this process of getting permits, and oftentimes when you get a permit, you need an inspector. So the inspector came to the door, and I knew immediately what I was dealing with. And he literally has this checklist of this is the order, this is how it should go. Do you have it all done? And thank goodness, because there's certain things that need those types of securitizing so that we do things right, so people don't get hurt.
It's, we do have a lot of safer systems in our country because we do have some pretty good systems around this stuff. But you can also dramatically overcook this stuff.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And it is, without question, something that's going on in society right now where we've overcooked all this. And so, Shelley said earlier, every position is 100% equally valuable, but timing is everything. And you know what? It's like we all feel great when we're on the field and we get a chance to make a play. But no one likes a ball hog. That's
No.
You don't,
No.
Michael Jordan, as great as he was, struggled to win a championship for the first so many years because he hadn't yet learned how to play well with others or much better with others. And it wasn't until he learned to be much more strategic about passing and using other team members that they, kind of put it all together. And there's some teams this season I know that are struggling with some similar diva problems.
Like, I'm sure we could break that team down into the positions as well, as far as
100%.
Yeah.
They're all four positions are there.
Yeah.
So the timing is hugely important. So West, my suggestion to you is to notice when you're running out, diminishing returns. I mean, there's a lot of industries where they're trying to just slice hairs finer and finer and finer, trying to sort of resurrect prosperity, right? I mean, we've talked before, you have this conception, birth, growth, harvest. And when you're in that growth mode and sales are cranking and systems are cranking and we're making it efficient and you're finding big gains, so it matters, right? But at a certain point, those gains become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it's like, okay, we're coming to the end of this.
Yeah.
And maybe your job for the team is to protect that thing so that the other part of the team can go off and create the next thing. There's a lot of subtleties to this that you want to understand a specific situation, but that's how you need to be thinking as a teammate.
Right.
Free them up so that they can go create the next thing.
So, speaking of timing, so the next maps, the next thing that we're going to do is really kind of go in our conclusion of this course. We're going to go into timing, and we have so many maps to help you figure out where you are in the cycle. Mm-hmm. So why don't you talk about that a little bit more? Because I think it's time to.
Well, the only thing I want to say about that at this point, because I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but what Shelley's alluding to is there's a 4-step cycle in sequence to prosperity. It's not an accident that humankind has these 4 biologically embedded survival concerns that when put together, you cover the whole thing that a tribe could ever need.
Right.
It's not a coincidence.
Right.
When you study history through this lens, it's jaw-dropping, holy cow.
It really is.
Okay? So what you're going to see is there's a whole transaction cycle that happens.
This one.
And it lines up with these positions. We all have a sweet spot in this, that bucket brigade.
Right.
Okay? So you will see a repetitive theme, I guess, of these 4 positions, and everything always lines up northeast, southwest. And in case you're wondering as you see these other maps, do they always correspond with a position? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll go over that. But I think without question, the thing that we need to help the most with, all of us that we need help the most with, is in order to play this game well, we have to get more and more clear with what is it that I have done where I made the biggest impact. If I can get that feedback, then I can start to say, okay, good, I should spend more time there. This stuff that you've probably heard about work on your weaknesses is
Bull poop?
yes. Yeah. That's not what you do. The quarterback doesn't go figure out how to become 400 pounds and defend people. That's just it's just not how you play the game.
No.
And our education system has wired people to think that you need to be this whole well-rounded, focused thing. But when you look at the most successful people, if they're honest, and even if they're not, and you ask them their story and you pay attention, you'll discover there was this thing that they contributed where they were strong, and they doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on that thing because that's what scored the points.
Yeah. Well, how many times have we heard that the education system only really teaches to a certain mindset? And it's clear that what you just said is so true, that there's kids out there that were very self-aware and they were shoved into this system that told them, no, you're actually going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And it's really, really unfortunate.
So self-awareness is that foundation, because people are, hearing advice from people that are way up here. And they're hearing all these tactics, which basically they've heard, and in order to get from down here to up here, you've got to do these tactics. Well, guess what? Tactics from which of these 4 positions?
Right.
It matters.
Yes, it does.
This is the foundation. Learn this first. Own it. Really embrace it. And then let's talk about what's the best way to build your identity.
Well,
because it's different.
It's methods. You've talked about this.
It's methods versus, these are methods. Now, for instance, if you're listening to some internet celebrity type who's, dispensing a lot of advice and they're north and you're not, it's not like you shouldn't be listening to them. I'm sure there's still a ton you can learn, but you need to understand how to filter it and recalibrate it for you, because the tactics they use probably are part of the process, but they're not going to be in your wheelhouse. And you're going to have to figure out how to build a team or how to overcome that piece.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, you don't want to learn the tactics from a player that's not in your position.
Right.
Because they'll be like, well, you do this and this, and like, well, actually, that's not my position. So,
right.
Yeah, not going to work. All right, so we are hunting for the next American Dream, and we would love for you to come along. And next, we're going to talk about timing. We're going to conclude this and talk about timing.
And please, you have to have questions. I know Shelly and I had tons of questions as we were first sort of figuring this all out.
I still do.
So email us at toby@freedomunschool.com. That's toby@freedomunschool.com. I watch that email and I will answer your questions. It's the
I'll put it in the show notes.
The best way to learn.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Till next time.